Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, and today we are about to get underway with TORA's one-off TASCAR Thunder Special here at Suzuka's small East layout. This is going to be a little bit interesting. So, for those of you who have not been keeping up with TORA developments over the last few months, TORA, at the start of the year, ran a NASCAR series that lasted about 6 weeks. It was primarily oval focused, although there was one single road course in the event. That series was, as far as I understand, it was pretty much spec tuned. It was very intense when it came to the competition overall across the field. However, the races had a habit of being really intense early on, then everyone would spread out and kind of end up on their own. Now, this event could potentially be a little bit different. We are going to be using what some of my friends like to call the knuckle duster layout here at Suzuka, the East Circuit. So this circuit is going to be a little bit shorter around than what the Miami Oval is. Things to consider, this track has been used by the NASCAR Cup Series before in real life on two separate occasions in both 1996 and 1997. It was part of the Suzuka Thunder Special. Interestingly enough, that was also the first time that the NASCAR Cup Series ever actually ran in the rain, because when qualifying for the 97 NASCAR Thunder Special here at Suzuka in 97, there was rain during qualifying. So definitely some interesting history here, although in a lot of cases it is forgotten. It is interesting history in any scenario. The Thunder Special would return to Japan in 1998, but at that point they went to the brand new Motegi Oval instead of running here at the Suzuka short layout. Things to consider about this is that you really only have two overtaking zones on track. On the initial starts and restarts, you do have turn 3, but realistically you have two overtaking zones. You have turn 1, which is the easiest one. It's at the end of the longest and really the only straightaway on the circuit, and you can definitely get side by side through there. Then you have the final corner. Final corner is really difficult because the final corner is very, very narrow, but it opens up on exit, and if you have a good run, you can actually get side by side coming out of the final corner and drag race down the first half of the straightaway. The big thing is that with this being open tuning, there's going to be a little bit of question. Do you want to go with a setup that prioritizes straight line speed, or do you want to go with a setup that prioritizes handling? Most of the circuit is going to be all about handling. As you can see, the majority of the corners here are just a series of S's. You're going left, then right, then left, then right, then left, then right for the majority. It's very back and forth for the most part. So that means that there would be a significant advantage in making sure that your turning capabilities are at their best. Also, having good turn capabilities, if in theory, should give you good defensive abilities going into turn 1. The counterpoint to that, though, is that the straightaway here is ridiculously long. I cannot stress this enough. The straightaway here at Suzuka is going to be incredibly long, and you will be spending a lot of time on it. The laps here are a little shorter than a minute a lap, mind you, and a lot of that is going to be taken just getting up from what's a comparatively slow speed up to maximum speed down the straights. Do you want to maximize your straight line speed ability? On starts and restarts, that will enable you to make the most possible positions, but you will be hemorrhaging time around the rest of the lap. But again, don't anticipate to be seeing a lot of overtakes in the twisties here today. Real quickly, let's go ahead and look at some of the drivers that will be running in today's race. SFM Darkster is going to be in that number 24 DuPont machine. He's also the one who is hosting the lobby. Initially, he was going to be broadcasting. However, some things ended up changing. He is going to be racing because I was able to step in and broadcast. I do want to say thank you to SFM Darkster for letting me jump in and do this. Another driver will be running will be the number 15 Rapid Fit Mustang of E. Mojave. TNR Larry B is back in the diehard number 67. We might be seeing him again a little bit later today, and I'll talk more about that later in the broadcast. DMS Manic is going to be in the number 16 Respal Toyota. Then Midland Zeta is, oh wow, there is no hesitation whatsoever. We immediately got on track to start qualifying. I thought I would be able to go through the entire grid. Well, I will go through the entire grid one more time once qualifying is over. All right, now this is just the qualifying lobby. This is not the race lobby. This is only for qualifying, as we have 14 cars taking to the track right now. Everyone here is just trying to knock out the best possible times that they can to try and qualify as well as possible. Apparently, I believe that is Barricade X1, who's in the pace car. He is just pulling off circuit there in the final corner, so he shouldn't have a direct impact on this. Alright, so now that one lap is officially recorded, let's go ahead and take a look here at DMS Top Gear. So this session being 11 minutes long means that everyone should have enough time to knock out 11 laps, especially because it was a rolling start. They are in ghost mode, so you do not have to worry about anything regarding drivers hitting each other. These are the gaps between everyone on track, because we have 12 drivers currently running, as PTT Chungus seemed to have lagged out very early in the event. We're not really sure what happened to cause that. And someone has really put the power down, something very aggressive there. So PTG Houseman is currently listed as the second fastest driver at this stage of the session, although stepping wide there in that corner is not going to help. No real crazy shenanigans here. You're going to have the normal fuel and tire wear, normal sim damage. There is no accelerated tire wear in this event. And actually, as we are in the middle of what is our third lap, we'll go ahead and use this as a chance to get you a look at what everyone's tires are looking like right now. And as you can see, we're going to be ending our third lap here, and watch that left front. You'll see it hit about 6%. So everyone's going to be going through about 2% of their tire life per circuit. And who is that has gone off? I believe that was the 12 that we had been looking at earlier. It would appear to have been... Yes, I believe it was. Okay, well now the numbers are starting to change. Now we see ESV Green has apparently put down the fastest time thus far. For some reason in the broadcast, we do not have the ability to see whatever paint scheme Green is running, if he's even running one. He's not the only driver I have. I think we have 2 drivers in the field there. We are currently struggling with that. Really quickly, just to give you another little bit of a taste. You really give you an idea what your top speeds are going to look like and how everyone has their cars geared up. You see, they get into the 4th gear very, very early and then just kind of run out the entire straight in 5th, though only getting to about 170 in the straight line. Now, mind you, in race circumstances, that is going to be a little different. The draft will be on, obviously, once we get to the race proper, and the draft in these cars can be very powerful. If you have a good exit and the car in front of you didn't have a great run, you can get closer and closer as the straight goes on. Potentially, you could be seeing 176, 177 miles an hour going into turn 1. But as you can see, that's really only the straightaway. All these other corners here, they're kind of hanging out between about 65 to 95 miles an hour. And in the final corner, you get down to 65, which is going to be relatively comparable to what pace speed is. Bit of a twitch there by Green as he is tucked up there behind. Who is that? That is ZR Villa, who's just ahead. Midland Zeta is actually going ahead and making a pit stop. And I'm curious, what is the reason for this? It looks like he is running low fuel, so I'm guessing he'll change tires, put more fuel in, and then go out again for another run at this. He doesn't even change tires, apparently. That's an interesting thing. This also means that he's going to be running the next few laps in completely clean air here. Another driver want to go ahead and take a look at here. This is DMS Manic, and I'm actually going to ride on board with Manic here for a lap, so you get an idea what an onboard lap is like here around this circuit. I also want to see how much fuel he burns in a lap, roughly. So as you can see, it looks like you use about 3% of your fuel tank in a lap. So if a tank can only last you about 33 laps here, but your tires can go about 30 laps, we could be looking at a 2-stop race to 3-stop race, depending on how many yellows we have and how much people are going to be able to save. So we have the front straightaway camera. And you can see the field as they actually go across the line. If we have a real close battle to the end, I might actually try and use this camera if possible. Then we have the camera here that is located down in, that's 2, 3, 4, just on the exit of 4. You can see Green and ZR Villa running around top of each other. And then this one here, which covers the run into the final 2 corners as well. ZR Sherman is now making a stop as well. So a lot of drivers seem to have underfilled their tanks early on and are now making pit stops in the middle of qualifying itself. One potential advantage in doing that, and one that a lot of people may not think of, is that if you didn't get a whole lot of practice in getting in and out of pit lane, this will give you a better idea as to what the ideal line needs to be to get onto pit road and back off of pit road as well. As this goes on, we now have a new driver who is second on the board, and that is this DeWalt machine, as the number 44, I believe. There's the 441, driven by PTG Lucas 06. I will say one difficult thing about this circuit is that not only is it hard to pass here, it's hard to tell from looking on the outside looking in, it's hard to tell who actually has a good setup and who has a really good idea as what they need to do and how their car is going to handle. You can kind of tell a little bit when it comes to overall lap times, but generally speaking, we don't have that ability for the most part. ESV Green is still looking like he'll be the fastest qualifier at the moment, followed by this man here, PTG Lucas. Then ZR Villa, who has slipped to third. PTG Neb has rebounded to fourth. Neb is someone who has been a minor fixture in the channel for a little bit. He is running that number 64 machine. Then you have ZR Sherman back here in the 810. He's currently listed as the 5th fastest. Then TNR Larry B, currently 6th fastest. PTG Houseman is currently listed as 7th fastest. SFM Darkster is currently 8th. E. Malahave is 9th. Midland Zeta is 10th. DMS Manic is currently 11th, and DMS Top Gear is last right now of everyone who has set a time. He is 12th. Top Gear had some better laps early on, but it seems like as the track is rubbering in and he's been going through the tire life, it's starting to hurt him a little bit, and he is starting to lose a bit of his pace that he had. Real quickly, as we are about 9.5 minutes in, you can see how much these tires have worn. You just put an extreme amount of wear on the rubber here. We could be looking at drivers needing to pit about once every 24 minutes or so. And it looks like Green is actually pulling over. He is not going to keep pushing here. I would imagine we're going to see a majority of the field pulling off track shortly here, if they feel that they can't finish this lap, and they'll pull off and start recording their lap times. Green is still rolling, but not at maximum speed. He's massively reduced his pace. So yeah, it looks like your lineup will be Green, Lucas, Villa, Neb, Sherman, Larry, Houseman, Darkster, Mojave, Zeta, Manic, Top Gear. Barricade does not count, but Barricade is your pace car, and then PTG Chungus, who attempted to qualify, but apparently was not able to get a single lap in here. And this is not like real life racing where when you hit the timer, you can go for another lap or two. This is going to be when that timer is off, you stop wherever you are. The game automatically ends your event. Excuse me. So as green goes for a little roll, we're looking at the best laps, and green set a 48.096, followed by Lucas with a 48.158, and we'll get a little bit better rundown here shortly. You look really lonely up there, all by yourself. All right, so real quickly, look at the times. ESV Green has the fastest time, 48.096. Lucas has a time of 48.1. Villa has a time of 48.292. It's honestly closer to 48.3. PTG Neb, 48.4. Sherman, 48.5. Larry, 48.5 as well. There's not much gap between the two of them. Houseman, 48.6. SFM Darkster, 48.68. Mojave, 48.7. Then it's a bit of a drop. Midland Zeta, who we normally expect to have much better times, he only set 49.0. DMS Manic, 49.350. DMS Top Gear, 49.620. And that is our qualifying done here. And we'll likely start setting up for the race proper in a bit. Excuse me. Okay, so they're going to go ahead and take some time to get the event re-racked and stacked. We will take a short break, and we'll be back here at Suzuka momentarily for the Thunder Special here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Suzuka as the event is starting to get re-racked and restacked for the race proper here. Once we get loaded back into the lobby here, we'll go ahead and give everyone a quick look over of everyone's cars. Looking at the cars. Again, we still cannot see any paint scheme on ESV Green's car. I am not sure what the issue is there. We know we should have something. In fact, now I can't see anybody's except for Top Gear's. I can't even see Top Gears now. So yeah, whatever has happened has been just about terminal, and I do have to apologize for that. Okay. We're going to be back here. We need to restart Forza because of this paint glitch. So we'll be back shortly here. The stream will go black for a bit and it will return shortly. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm hoping that restarting my Forza will have fixed the paint glitch so you can actually see what everyone's cars are going to be looking like here today. Excuse me. Alright. Yes, now it works. All right, so ESV Green is in this very spicy looking number 73 Mustang. PTG Lucas is in the 441 DeWalt Mustang. ZR Villa is in the 719 Mustang. PTG Neb is in the 64 Mustang. ZR Sherman is in the 810 Mustang. TNR Larry B is the highest qualifying of the Toyotas in the 67 Diehard machine. PTG Houseman is the highest qualifying Camaro in the number 78 Sharp Camaro. Then you have SFM Darkser, still can't see the paint on his car. E Mojave is in the number 15 Rapid Fit Mustang. DMS Manic is going to be in the number 16 Repsol Camry, and Barricade is your pace car, so don't worry about him. And then you will have DMS Top Gear, who will be in the number 12 Camry here. As the officials are getting everything gridded up and ordered up here. We should be getting underway shortly here. I did get some confirmation a little bit earlier that yes, everyone is just going to be running soft tires throughout the entire event, and I'm really not that surprised. Also, a little bit of an interesting thing to consider is that ZR Sherman, while he is not the fastest qualifier, and Midland Zeta has finally joined back with us, while ZR Sherman is not the fastest qualifier, he did go ahead and drop 2 numbers, but only after qualifying. So his 2 numbers will be good when your cars are low on fuel, but also on fresh tires. I'm not sure how good his numbers are going to be when you have a higher fuel load, or you do have a fuel load, but your tires have a lot of life on them. So keep that in mind, because some drivers will be moving over to running that alternate thing. Midland Zeta is stuck in a VW Golf, and I don't think that is correct. I imagine they'll try and get that fixed shortly here. Still waiting on PTT Chungus to jump back in here. And then once Chungus is back in, and no, Chungus is here. Never mind, Chungus is here already. Chungus is in the 666 Camaro. I missed that when he first signed up. And then, like I said, we are waiting. There we are. Midland Zeta is going to be in that number 97 Designs Ford. Absolutely love that design. So we should be getting underway relatively shortly here. It will be a rolling start, but they will have a pace lap. Be aware, though, that the field now has manual grid ordering, so you do not have to waste a ridiculous amount of time trying to organize the entire field yourself. You will have a manual grid ordering before the event starts. So with that in mind, this should make things a lot easier for everyone going forward. And it looks like we are about to load onto the circuit here. Okay. Well, we tried, but it seems like there was some sort of critical issue failure as they got the lobby set up and ready to go there. We'll take another shot at it momentarily here. We're not 100% sure what happened to cause everything to go wrong. Okay, one of the settings got messed up, it appears. It happens. We won't worry too much about that. Okay. Attempting to start this up again. The interesting thing to consider is the sheer level of domination the Mustang entry has. They will be taking the top 5 starting spots in the event. So keep an eye on that. Does this insinuate that there is problems with the other cars? Is there a balancing issue, or is it just that the Mustang was more appealing, maybe for painting or some other reason, for a majority of the field? It's one of the big issues within NASCAR is that within NASCAR in this game, it's very hard to tell if there's actually a balancing miss issue or not, due to weird oddities such as drivers in this category more than any others will normally jump into cars because of brand recognition and anything else. And the performance between the various stock cars are really, really close to begin with anyway. Alright. So it looks like we're going to have a standing start this time. Barricade X1 is nice enough to be your pole setter in today's event. And that Thunder Special machine. Everyone's already doubled up behind, so they're not going to be wasting a whole lot of time trying to re-rack and restack the grid here. 99 lap event. 100 on the board, but it will realistically be 99 because we will lose this one lap here. So this event should probably be done with in about an hour and a half's time. We'll see the field rolling through here shortly. Barricade will pull off just past the final corners. Here we go. Oh, he didn't pull off. He, Alright, as the field comes out of the final corner, they're coming down to the line. And the TORA TASCAR's Thunder Special at Suzuka is green. We are underway here at Suzuka. And immediately, ESV Green launches into the lead. Lucas and Villa immediately start fighting for second just behind. Neck and neck for position. Bit of a twitch farther back. You can see that Nav gets into Lucas right in front of the field. There are three, nearly four wide as they came out. There are still three wide, a little bit further back in the grid. There's no room. That's not going to work. The number 15 is slideways back behind them. And all this chaos right at the start is going to let Green pull out a 2/3 second lead by the time you get halfway through the first lap. All right, and now here comes the big question. What's the priority? What's the advantage? Do you want to run something that is really, really big on straight line speed? Or do you want to have a car that is really good on cornering? That's going to be the big question in today's event. But already at the head of the field, Green has pulled out by an entire second almost over ZR Villa. Interesting thing here to note, Villa is only running about 66% in their fuel tank. Green has way more. Green has actually filled his fuel tank up all the way. So Green has a very, very heavy rear end in the car right now. Aerodynamically, that extra weight is going to sink the rear of the car a little bit lower. A lot of the NASCARs run with a low rear end and a high nose to increase their acceleration. It doesn't help with their turning a lot, but it helps significantly with their acceleration. So I imagine Green will probably be running extra fuel in the car all day long, if at all possible. In third position, though, we look back, this is PTG Lucas, and Lucas is running a fuel load similar to what ZR Villa is. And it's really interesting because, again, lower fuel load means that the car should be lighter and nimbler through the twisties, but the heavier fuel load right now means that assuming you don't have any issue putting the power down, you should be able to fly in a straight line because of the aerodynamics around the car. So already we are in the middle of our third lap, and it looks like it always is, Green is kind of walking off with the lead right now. Villa is holding on to second, just barely ahead of PTG Lucas. ZR Sherman has actually had a respectable enough start and moved up into the fourth position. Okay, so now everyone's kind of filed into a position. Now the question is, where do you make moves and how do you make moves? There's really only one or two overtaking zones on this track. You have the run out of the final corner, and you have the run into turn one. That's it. If the person ahead of you gets a good exit coming out of the final corner, it's going to be almost impossible to pass them. You could be nearly a second a lap faster, but if the person ahead of you is just that much better coming out of the final corner, they can hold you behind indefinitely. And that leads into other things. If you are farther back in the field and you feel that you have a car that can really push forward on the grid, do you go ahead and just say, screw this, you pit early to try and do something else? Big slide by Villa as he got those tires on the curb, and that's going to throw away significantly important amount of time. Here comes Lucas. Lucas pulls up right behind Villa. You're just running a little bit too quickly through these corners to comfortably go side by side through here. Villa is sideways again now on the run to the last two corners. So Lucas is now tucked up behind ZR Villa. There'll be a little bit of a draft between the two of them. The fight for second is on, while ESV Green continues to just blitz away from the field. Villa had good one-lap pace, but it seems like with something closer to a full fuel load, the performance in that car is struggling, and now Lucas looks to the inside of Villa as they come out of two. There's just no room there into three once again. And for Lucas, this has got to be the most agonizing thing out there because Lucas knows that he's faster. He may not be fast enough to run down Green, but he knows he's faster. He knows that he should have the ability to do something farther up, but right now it's just not happening. still about nose to tail. And now they cycle around out of the final corner. Lucas tried taking a tighter line, but it was too tight, and he very nearly overshot it on exit into the dirt. That's going to kill his exit momentum. He's got the draft on Villa, though. Is he close enough to make the move? I don't think so. I think Lucas has a setup that is a little bit more focused on cornering. Villa likely has a setup that's more focused on turning, but that's not going to help. He left the inside line open. Here comes Lucas to the inside. Villa slide. Lucas slide. They're side by side as they head into turn number 3, and Lucas backs out of it. Villa holds the position just for a little longer, and that little moment alone gave Green about another full second over them. It's not that Green is massively faster, it's that these two drivers are throwing away so much critically important time fighting with each other. Even if they finally stop their battling, Green is going to have a seemingly insurmountable lead over the rest of the field, and Lucas is sideways in the final corners and drifts off a huge amount of speed. He was tucked up way too tightly behind Villa and just could not do anything. So that fight calms down for a moment. Then we have this trio of cars, Larry, Darkster, and Neb in 4th, 5th, and 6th positions at the moment. Right out the back of Larry's machine. Well, you just saw there, Lucas has had another issue. Lucas has now fallen outside of the top 3. He's flipped all the way back to 6. We know that Lucas has a good car under a 1-lap pace, but he does not seem to be able to handle the extra weight in the car with a proper fuel load, as now he has gone off in the final corner twice in the span of about 3 laps. He's completely somersaulting him down the grid rapidly. The field is also just completely sprayed out front to back overall. DMS Mac is last on track. He's about 19 seconds behind Green after about only 8 laps of running, so Mac is losing a little bit more than a second a lap to your leader at this stage of the event. Right on board with Lucas here through the final corner. He touches that little island of grass on the inside, and it shoots him wide, and it shoots him into the dirt. Now you can keep the car out of the wall like we saw there, but Lucas is hitting that little patch of dirt, that little island on the inside, and shooting him into the grass on the outside, and that's what's killing his ability to do anything and why he is hemorrhaging so much time. Interesting thing, though, is that this kind of takes the pressure off of ZR Villa, but we already know that ZR Villa is not that fast. Villa does not have a lot of speed. So, like it always is in these TORA events, ESV Green is set to automatically win this once again. There's just nothing that anyone can do. The fight is going to be for 3rd by the looks of it. TNR Larry B is trying to pull away, but he's got Darkster, Neb, and Lucas all tucked up behind. There's a little bit of quattro battle here. 4 different cars all fighting for position, and Neb now drops a tire into the outside dirt, and that lets Lucas get a run on the inside. So Lucas finally is going to be able to make an overtake after someone makes the same mistake that he's made several times already. Now Lucas is trying to fight forward and put a little bit of pressure on SFM Darkster. Darkster runs real aggressively over the curves and is kicking the cars out. But again, you run kind of like this. These corners are all mid-speed, like low to mid-speed corners. It's not really wide enough. You don't really have enough alternate lanes in these corners to go side by side through. So if you're leading and you're slow, you can just take the most inefficient line possible to keep the cars behind you frustrated and potentially keep them behind you indefinitely. That's what we saw Villa do to Lucas, and eventually Lucas made mistakes and fell back. That's what we saw Darkster do to Neb. That caused Neb to have a bit of a mistake. Now Lucas is the one behind Darkster, and again, Darkster does not have to do anything crazy. As long as you have a good exit out of the final corner coming onto the straight, you will be fine, and you will not be overtaken throughout the majority of the day. But I do say the majority. The big thing to consider is going to be pit stops. During pit stops, will drivers go ahead and try a pit early or late, turn laps in cleaner air to get nice clean lap time? That's going to be the other thing to really consider in this event. Big plume of smoke ahead. I don't know what's happened there. Did Villa have an incident? Well, it sure looked like someone had an incident with how much smoke cropped up there. And I'm guessing it might have been ZR Villa. We ride on board with Neb as he runs behind this fight. We're just going to ride on board for about a lap and a half, so you get an idea as to how the car handles differently, how you drive it differently when you're in traffic here at Suzuka. Welcome back to Suzuka, and PTG Lucas has moved up in the fourth. It was a very, very crafty move. He basically hustled and hammered Darkster all the way through the S's. Now, he never could get alongside, but he did enough that Darkster was taking more and more defensive line, and eventually Darkster ended up taking such a extremely defensive line going into the second to last corner that had shot him wide going into the final corner. Lucas pulled up onto his inside, and the two went side by side, coming onto the front straightaway, and Lucas had enough straight line speed with that nice cleaner exit that he immediately went by. Immediately he has opened up about a second on SFM Darkster, and now he's going to try and run that down TNR Larry B. But for Lucas, any hope there, any chance that he had of winning this race has basically been thrown away after having been caught up in traffic for so long and having to deal with that bad I shouldn't say bad, but the frustrating situation anyway. So Lucas is now running down on TNR Larry B. Real quickly, let's look a little bit farther back down the grid. This is near the back of the field. This is PTT Shungus, who is running. Hausman has had an issue. Hausman has gone off, apparently, in the last two quarters. Now he is running right behind E. Mojave. And Shungus was actually the one running down on Mojave, but it looks like Shungus has backed off their pace just a little bit. So Hausman trying to fight back against Mojave right now. These drivers are near the back of the grid in the event. And at the very rear is the DMS boys. DMS Manic and DMS Top Gear currently run in 12th and 13th in our 13 car field. Everyone is still on the lead lap for now, but at the rate that our leader is moving, that is not going to always be the time, and that could be the interesting thing. There are no blue flag rules here. Everyone is allowed, at least that is what I've been told, there are no blue flag rules, so everyone should be allowed to deepen, and it looks like Darkster and Neb went side by side into turn 1, and Neb went deep enough that he actually ran himself off circuit. Darkster is going to hold 5th position for now. Also, Lucas has gotten by Larry very smoothly. It looks like Larry was not really interested in fighting back against Lucas here. But again, Lucas has an 11-second gap between himself and Green, and there's still about 80 laps to go in the event. Real quickly, look at ESV Green. Still has a massive amount of fuel in the tank, 36% on that left front. This is ZR Villa, who runs in second. Villa is at 36% as well in that left front, but has 31% in the fuel tank. Now, the interesting thing to consider is that Green has all that extra fuel in the car. We think it's to try and help keep that rear end out of the air and to increase with rear end stability, all the extra weight. However, another option could be that Green could elect to go ahead and short fill. If he already has a bunch of fuel in the car, he does not have to put as much fuel in. If he makes pit stops, we can give him shorter pit stops, and that could have a significantly positive advantage on him in the event. Darkster and Neb continue to have their bit of a fight here. It seems like Darkster has lost the ability to make the car turn in a lot of these corners here. That left front is burning up significantly faster, it seems, than the drivers around him. So when do drivers start pitting? That's going to be the big question. I'm anticipating around lap 30, we should start seeing pit stops, but it could come earlier than that. If you are like PTG Neb, you could go ahead, pit now, and hope that you run 1 or 2 laps in cleaner air to get ahead. Now, you would be on a negative tire disadvantage for the remainder of the stint. That is a possibility. Now, again, how far do you want to push the tires? Do you want to push out to lap 33, 34, 35? If you are burning about 2% of your tires per lap, then pushing to lap 33, your tires would be at 66% wear, but you could cut out a pit stop and make it a nice, easy 2-stop. However, if you want to pit on lap 30, you don't have to worry about the tires falling off, but you may have to make an extra pit stop at the very end, or you'll have to be dealing with some incredibly worn tires at the very end. And Neb muscles his way by Darkster, runs Darkster slightly off track. Darkster's going to do the crossover. I don't know if that was actually a crossover, or if Neb said, okay, maybe it's a bad idea to run the head admin of TORA right off track like that, so he moved back over. But the problem is, Neb, there's no easy, clean way to make overtakes here, not unless you are at least a second a lap faster. And it seems right now at this stage of the event, everyone has kind of stabilized to where their positions are going to be. There are a handful of spots that could still change. PTG Chungus and PTG Houseman could end up swapping positions between themselves. DMS Manic and DMS Top Gear at the back of the grid could end up swapping positions amongst themselves. Again, with no blue flag laps, here's the other thing to consider. ESV Green is running down the DMS duo, and those two are fighting for a position. If they elect to not just move over and let Green by, if Green is held up by lap traffic for any significant period of time, that could be the one thing that could work out in Villa or Lucas's favor. Villa and Lucas are both out in the middle of nowhere. Someone has gone off. Who is that that's gone off? That is Mojave, who has gone very far off, and the car is destroyed. That car is absolutely destroyed. Is that going to be a yellow flag? Everything on that car is destroyed on the front, except the engine. So I have to wonder, did he have a brake failure or something? But he has gone right off into the... I'm guessing he went into the turn 1 wall on the extreme outside. That's way off. These cars don't get stupid fast, but you'd still be entering that corner at about 170 miles an hour. Whatever has happened to Mojave has basically derailed his event. Also, PTG Lucas has finally gotten by ZR Villa. So Lucas continues to charge forward, but Green has a 12-second lead in tow, and we still have not gone yellow flag despite Mojave's incident. Mojave is currently midway around the track, so this is going to put Mojave multiple laps down here. Alright, so now Lucas needs to see if he can do anything to Green, and the big thing is he needs Green to catch traffic. And he needs him to catch traffic in very inopportune times. The thing with Green right now is that if he's about to catch traffic, he's going to catch this DMS duo ahead of him at the end of this lap. If Green elects to pit now so he doesn't spend time behind traffic, he's going to be in a potentially very strong disadvantage when it comes to fuel and tires to the end of the race. But if he stays out, he's going to have to manually figure out a way by these drivers. They are fighting for positions, although they have split away from each other just a little bit. So Green now pulls up behind DMS Top Gear. This is the big question. Do the DMS guys hold position, or do they just move over and let Green get it? Well, Top Gear seems to just be struggling in turn 1 in general. I wonder if Mojave is elected to leave. Yes, Mojave has indeed elected to leave. And Green, now trapped behind lap traffic, is going to try and go the long way around. And it works because I guess Top Gear just does not have what it takes to hold someone off. So that's one lap car that Green is by. Is DMS Manic going to be able to put up anything closer to a resistance to ESV Green? Because if not, it's a long way before Green catches the next bout of traffic. And we'll likely see Green not have to worry about traffic again for the rest of the event. Likely. Not a guarantee, but it's likely. Well, I don't know. He might still catch Midland Zeta. I don't know if he'll catch Chungus or Houseman. Alright, he's tucked up behind the 16. He's going to go around the outside. Manic fights back just a... No one here has what it takes to fight Green. No one's willing to get elbows out. So yes, ESV Green is going to win this race by default as Manic slides off in the final corners, and that will give the position to Top Gear now. Now these tires are now at 50% wear for Manic. If you look at Green, his front tires are now at 52% wear, roughly. So he is wearing his tires at about 2% a lap, which is the numbers we were anticipating earlier. So does he pit around lap 33? If he pits around lap 33, he should be good to the end on just one more stop, which would be around lap 66 or 67. And we're also curious to see if anyone else is going to elect to pit early to try and get track position by running in clean air, considering that overtaking is just about impossible. And now you see it is Top Gear that made the mistake in the final quarter, and Manic now has a run on him. Top Gear outside. Manic dives to the inside, but has to backpedal so he doesn't hit the other DMS driver. They stay nose to tail through 1 and 2. Here comes Manic. He'll try to go around the outside Top Gear. You can't really make a move there unless you're multiple seconds a lap faster like Green is compared to these drivers. This is farther up. Darkser has actually gotten back by Neb. Earlier we saw Neb got by Darkser, but Neb's made a bit of a mistake and it's let Darkser slip back through. They continue to run, not quite nose to tail here. They both take alternate lines, but you can tell that Darkser is really struggling here, trying to keep that 64 behind him. Alright, onto the front straightaway. Once again, Neb is tucked up right behind that 24. He'll have a fantastic draft going down the straight. Is that going to be enough for him to pull to the inside and dive bomb going into turn 1? He chooses not to do that, not this time at least. The gap between first and second has stayed stable at about 11 seconds. The big thing, though, is that Lucas is now the driver who's likely to catch traffic, and now we see DMS Top Gear paid. So one of our 2 lap cars are going to pit. So Top Gear and Manic are now going to be slightly offset on their tire strategy. Everyone else still staying out for now, though. Pit lane here is long, but it's not so long that you're guaranteed to go an entire extra lap down while you're in pit road. You will lose most of another lap, but not quite all of it. But if a yellow falls, Top Gear will still get a lap back, or I believe he should get a lap back and go back onto the lead lap. All right, out of the final corner, once again, Lucas really lights the tires up. With how much these drivers are kicking the rears around, you would think that's rear tires that are really the big issue for drivers, but no, it continues to be that left front that has the tire that is burning up the most as this race goes on. Lucas still has not yet caught Manic, but will likely catch them at the end of this lap. Meanwhile, at the head of the field is still ESV Green. Still waiting to see when he elects to go ahead and make his first stop of the day. Not this lap. So now Lucas comes up to traffic. How much trouble is Manic going to give Lucas? Lucas has actually caught Manic in a straight line. So Manic should have the draft and might be able to utilize the draft to give him a great dive bomb into turn 1. Lucas does not go for the dive bomb. And Manic does a respectable job holding the inside line. Lucas is going to have to try around the outside, but if he goes and holds it, he'll complete the overtake. He does not. He cuts the dirt just a bit. Manic is there, and now he gets by. So Lucas took so much longer than Green to get by just a single car. Green got by 2 cars, and the time it took Lucas to get by 1. And speaking of which, ESV Green now making his first stop of the day. ZR Sherman is making his first stop, and now here comes Lucas. We know that Lucas is going to end up behind Green. The gap is too big between them. This is the fight for 5th and 6th. This is Darkser and Neb. What are their tires looking like right now? Darkser's at 64%, but the two of them are going to stay out a little bit longer here, and Darkser very nearly goes into the dirt. ZR Villa actually stayed out a little longer than Green. So has Larry B, so both of them now have a significant advantage. Now Darkser and Neb are going to be ahead of ESV Green. So this could get interesting because depending on how long those two ahead stay out, Green could be held up by drivers who, while they're on bad tires, are a lot closer to him in pace. The gap between Green and Lucas is actually grown to about 13 seconds now, and ZR Villa is finally coming into the pit now on lap 34, and I imagine this duo will be pitting this lap as well. Okay, well, he just shoots by Neb, but he is not by Darkser yet. So Darkser stays out another lap. Neb comes in now, though. So Darkser is really pushing the life of his tires forward. Darkser holds the outside. Green goes to the outside. No one ever gives Green any headache, I swear. So, after that's done, the gap between between Green and Lucas is about 13 seconds. The gap between Lucas and Villa has actually grown out to 4 seconds. But between the DMS drivers, Manic is significantly farther ahead than Top Gear right now. And Manic pitted later, so maybe the undercut is not the way to go. There may be a yes to Gojira, who I'm guessing is Mojave. That was for interviews, if you want to give an interview. But if you don't want to give an interview, don't worry about it. So Darkster finally pits on lap 35. I'll be interested to see where he ends up in relation to the driver he has been fighting, PTG Neb. Neb pitted a lap earlier than Darkster. As they fly down the straightaway, that's Darkster on the inside, and Neb is clear. So between this fight, pitting 1 lap earlier worked out very significantly in Neb's favor, but between the DMS duo, it worked out in Manic's favor to stay out late. So it's not quite cut and dry, it would appear, on if it's overcut or undercut. The big thing, though, is that a lot of drivers elected to go a little bit farther than lap 33. I didn't, well, if I sent an invite out to Mojave, it must not have worked because it says I'm still in the lobby all by myself. And another driver has pulled over, and that is PTG Houseman now. Houseman is our second driver to have significant damage. His damage is even more significant and all-encompassing than Mojave's. That car is destroyed on the front. I think he'll have just enough momentum to get into the pits. Midland Zeta finally makes his first stop of the day. But this is going to be a very, very long wait for Houseman. And this is likely going to lock him out of a top 10 result here. Trying to hold as tight as line as possible so as not to inhibit any other drivers. Oh, and that's another driver we have lost now. Have we lost more? What's happened? We need to know. Yeah, it looks like BTG Houseman has left the group now. So Darkstar and Sherman are in a little bit of a fight now. Neb has actually pulled the gap on Sherman. We're going to reach out to PTG Houseman and see if he wants to give any words. What do you mean, invite failed? Okay, well, let's send the invite out now. If he wishes to give an interview, feel free to jump in then. So now, Darkstar runs just a little bit ahead of Sherman, and Neb is actually ended up back behind, so Neb must have gone off at some point and has fallen behind this duo by a significant margin as well. Sherman absolutely harassing Darkstar right now. Now, mind you, Darkstar went farther on tires than everyone else, so his inability to turn is still going to hurt him, but he'll still have slightly more turning ability than the other cars on track around him right now. Still not a whole lot that Sherman can try and do to fight back against Darkstar here. Sherman trying to do to Darkstar what Lucas did to him earlier. Lucas did to that 24 earlier. Through the last two corners, Darkstar is really sideways, but he uses the sideways to turn himself down right in front of Sherman, and that kills Sherman's exit momentum. Now Sherman's still tucked up behind. He'll get the draft going down the straightaway here. Can't make it stick. Cannot make a move stick. Sherman washes the 810 a little wide there on track. Alright, we'll be back shortly here after a word from our mandatory Twitch sponsors, but we'll return shortly here for TASCAR, TORA TASCAR Thunder Special here at Suzuka. Welcome back to Suzuka, and while the race for the win is pretty much over because no one ever puts ESV Green under any pressure whatsoever, there is a lot of interesting fights. There are two separate kind of interesting fights going down farther down the grid, and something has happened to DMS Top Gear that has required him to go ahead and make another pit stop, I believe, very early in the event. He has actually... Was he making another pit stop? Or... Yeah, he's made another pit stop, I believe. Either that or he has gone off and went very deep off. By the way, Top Gear is now 2 laps down, while Manic, the man he had been fighting with for a long time, still runs about 40% of a lap ahead of Top Gear at this stage of the event. Midland Zeta has gone a lap down, and now the next driver who is set to go a lap down is this man here, PTC Chungus. And at the rate that Green is going, because no one ever fights with ESV Green, we are likely going to see Green put everyone up to TNR Larry B a lap down. Larry's a little bit up in the air. Larry might go a lap down in the last 10 laps, might not. It's a little bit hard to tell. The top 3 look like, as long as nothing problematic happens to them, they'll all be good to finish this race on the lead lap. But everyone who is 5th on back are on track to go a lap down at this stage of the event. Chungus is actually the first driver to actually try and hold Green behind him for more than just a corner and a half right now. The thing is, though, that PTG Lucas is running 15 seconds, and now Chungus just rolls over and does not... no one... Yeah. So, yeah, any chance that we may have had him slide forward is gone. I do apologize for that. Sherman is just barely ahead of Darkster at this stage of the event. These two keep kind of trading positions back and forth. One of them will make a mistake and gives it to the other, and that's the big thing. These overtakes between these two have not been 100% driver merit. One driver is better than the other and gets by. A lot of this has just been someone makes a critical mistake and the other driver just scoots ahead to capitalize, and then the driver who's ahead makes a mistake and scoots ahead. And it had been Darkster and Neb, but shortly after the first round of pit stops, Neb went off circuit far enough that he actually fell about 3 seconds behind Darkster and has not been able to make the ground back since. He is starting to close it back down, but it is not happening at any real usable rate. This is Darkster's best chance to try and get a run on Sherman going into turn 1 here. He's got to the inside, heavy into the brakes. Do you dive deep? Oh, he does! And he hit checks him! He knocks Sherman off track! He doesn't even try. Well, he does pull over. So he says, hey, look, that was no good. But Neb... No, Neb got by Darkster, but he is not by Sherman. Now Neb is the driver who's stuck behind Sherman. And with those 3 driving like that, it all but confirms that Green is likely going to catch this trio before this next round of pit stops is over. They all lost a significant amount of time in that hiccup there. Neb behind Sherman. Darkster about 8/10 behind Neb as they go down the straight. Neb's not close enough to have a big dive on Sherman into 1 this time. Sherman is wide on entry, but Neb is wide on exit of 1, and then in 2, Neb has a bit of a tighter line, and then their lines all kind of naturalize and even back out. Maybe not naturalize, that's probably not the word. Maybe normalize should be, but yeah, the differences between these 3 all seem to normalize to just about 0 through the S's. Darkster definitely has a disadvantage in the twisties, but when he's solo, when he's not running with other people, it's not as much of a disadvantage. Really, it's just a matter of who can get through the final corner and then the first 2 corners the best. And right now, it seems like Sherman has the advantage. He's about 4/10 ahead of Neb and does have enough draft that he is giving Neb a toe down the straight. But Sherman has a good enough exit out of the final corner that the toe that Neb is getting does not let him overcome the gap that Sherman has coming out of the final corner right now. So, we are about halfway through our event now. We've had 2 DNFs. PTG Houseman and E. Mojave both have had giant accidents, but no yellow flags in the event. And with the way this is set to go, we will not have any yellow flags throughout today's race. The leader, you see him going around the corner there. He's in the background. So Green likely to catch this trio of cars, or at least the back of this trio of cars, in the next 10 laps. Neb is still caught behind Sherman and has not been able to do anything. Big tank slapper by Neb there, coming through 5. And now this trio is coming up on a driver who's already got a lap down. That's Manic. Max is fighting to not go multiple laps down, but I hate to say it, for the pace that the DMS drivers have had, their fate is sealed in stone. They are going to go multiple laps down today. Sherman tucked up behind Manic, and Sherman goes to the inside going into turn 1. Cannot make the overtake stick. Looks again in turn 2. Still can't get alongside. Manic washes really wide going into 3. Well, this is the most interesting scenario that lap traffic has put anyone under today. And now Neb has a shot to maybe make an overtake in the twisties. Or not. Sherman finally hip checks Manic off circuit, and here comes Darkster. Darkster's there now. Darkster puts the bump into Sherman. Sherman inside, Neb outside, neck and neck. Darkster tries to look for room. He wants to make it 3 wide. There's no room there. Not for now. And now 3 cars all with a blanket over them pretty much as they go down the front straightaway. Side by side for a 5th position. Sherman has the inside. He should be able to hold the position. They go in, and it's Neb around the outside who has it. Sherman tries to go deep in 2. Neb slides. Sherman slides into Neb. They made contact. Now side by side again, going into turn number 3. And then Sherman into the dirt. Sherman slides into the dirt, and Darkster is by him, and Neb is by him now. All that. Now, here comes Green as we ride on board with our race leader as he watches that 3-way fight for 5th continue to develop. Well, develop is the wrong word. It's more like just continue to brawl. It's not like it's been developing. It has basically developed since the start of this race. Has been going on just about non-stop ever since. He's going to catch these guys in about 6 laps, if not a little bit less. So Neb has the position. You can see Sherman gets to the inside quarter panel of Darkster in some of these corners, but not deep enough that he can actually pull up alongside. Darkster now closes a bit on Neb in the twisties. And now they come to the last 2 corners. Darkster has a way tighter line than normal, but he lets it get alongside Neb. They're side by side for 5th position once more. And Darkster has the run coming out. That's what he needed. He's got the run coming out, and Darkster is clear of Neb going down the straight this time. So while Darkster has a car that does not seem to handle very well for him, Darkster as a driver seems to have the ability to really get the elbows out and fight mano-y-mano for positions here. Green, who is now trapped behind this 3-way battle. We ride with our leader. He needs to be very careful, very cautious. When does he make moves? When does he try to make an overtake? When does he run? When does he do anything in this? Well, I mean, I guess if the last driver in the fight's going to go off in the dirt and spin himself out, it's not really much of an issue. But Green still has 2 more drivers he has to navigate around, Darkster and Neb. Honestly, at the rate we're going, we could see ZR Villa, who is in 3rd, go a lap down. I'm not saying it will happen, but that is looking like it could be a distinct possibility as this race goes on. PSV Green now pulls up right behind BTZ Neb. No lapped cars have really given Green any significant problem throughout the day. That might change now. He lunges to the outside of Neb as they go into the last 2 corners. There's a little bit of contact, and Green's into the dirt. He backs out of it, and Neb is still there. Neb does not want to go a lap down quietly, at least. Well, as I say that, though, Neb immediately lets out of the throttle to just run in Green's draft. No one ever fights Green. So So now the question is, how long does it take for green to get by Darkster? Green does not have any patience. That's something interesting to consider. Green just dove into the corner and just rammed Darkster from behind to try and force him off track. Now Darkster did a respectable job and held his line, didn't let Green get under his skin, but still, Green has spent so much time in clean air. He does not seem to have a lot of patience in dealing with traffic now. And Darkster's actually held Green behind him for an entire lap. This is the most fighting that Green has had to do all day long. And he does it again. Again, I will say, Darkster's kind of brought it upon himself. He's not running ideal lines, but Green is not properly predicting where Darkster's going to end up being, and he keeps running right into the rear bumper of Darkster. And he's doing it time and time again here. It's not like it matters. Green still has an 18-second advantage over Lucas, although the gap finally drops below 18 seconds. All right, Green going to go to the inside. Darkster squeezes him a little bit, side by side. And there's just nothing that Darkster can do. Neb is right there. Darkster will cross over. Darkster says, I'm not going to lap down without a fight. So Darkster is the first person to actually give Green anything close to a real fight. But Darkster does not have the ability to take these corners very well. And it looks like that's over. And again, Darkster is on track to put everyone except second place a lap down in this event. The fight for fifth continues now. Darkster runs really wide in the final corners, and Neb gets by. Darkster does the crossover on exit, but he drops the tire into the dirt, kills some of his corner exit momentum. It's a drag race for fifth. And it looks like Darkster's gonna have it. He has the inside line. Does Neb send it around the outside? No, he backs out of it. Darkster holds station for now. As something happened to this man, PTG Lucas is running incredibly slow. And Lucas, our second place driver, has had an accident. PTG Lucas has had an accident just after the pit in. So I'm guessing that he hit the grass and washed into the outside wall in the final corner, and it's destroyed his car. And now, with this happening and he's holding up ZR Villa, ESV Green is going to set the entire field a lap down today. The thing with this race is that there's not enough life in the tires to enable drivers to make multiple stops, and Lucas is staying out. What? So Lucas still has an engine. Lucas still seems to have handling, but he's obviously lost a lot of that handling. He's bleeding away time now. But I wonder if Lucas says, look, it's more important to just keep it only a two-stop event. He is staying out in a heavily damaged car. I imagine he wants to make it to about lap 65, so when he pits, he knows that the tires he'll put on will last to the end of the event. There's no way that Lucas doesn't know that he has damage to that car. Physically, it will be handling weird. And now you can see back there, that is TNR Larry B, who is starting to run down on Lucas. So again, we are going to see everybody go a lap down to ESV Green because no one has what it takes to fight Green except for Darkster. And Darkster's already a lap down. Still, this little development here with Lucas's damaged car is really going to change how the grid is going to finish second, third, and fourth. as we see Larry continue to close in. So that's another driver who's had a slide there. Is that Villa? Yes, Villa has now dropped tires into the dirt, and he's had a slide. Not an out-of-control slide, but he's had a big slide now in the final corner. So second, third, and fourth are all kind of throwing their races away. Well, Larry's not really throwing his race away. Larry just doesn't have pace compared to second and third ahead of him. Still waiting to see when the rest of our field will make their second and what should be final round of stops here. But Lucas is just about to be caught by Larry. As you can see, there's a significant amount of brake damage, suspension damage, and aerodynamic damage to Lucas's car. We believe what happened is that he slid off in the final corner and hit the tire barriers on the outside, which damaged the car. We had rode on board with him way earlier in the event where he hit the little green island of grass between the final two corners, and that compromised his run going into the last corner, and he went wide and very nearly hit the outside wall, but he avoided it then. We're anticipating that's the exact same thing that happened this time. So Larry has now completed the overtake on Lucas, and Larry is now also starting to close down the gap between himself and ZR Villa. Meanwhile, this is the fight for fifth on track. Neb continues to hold station over Darkser, but Neb washes wide in turn one, and Darkser goes to the outside, which turns into the inside in the following corner. Lucas finally pits on lap 65. So he'll actually be pitting a little bit earlier than everyone else, but we know that he's fast. Does he have the speed to try and fight his way to catch back to Larry and Villa and then get back by them in the closing laps? So the final round of green flag pit stops are underway once again here at Suzuka. Flying down the front straightaway once more. Darkser actually dropped the tire into the dirt there. And ESV Green is finally pitting. So with ESV Green pitting exactly on lap 66, I imagine we'll start seeing other drivers pit in a lap afterwards. But we will briefly see a few other drivers put themselves back on the lead lap here. Only on technicality, but they will briefly be back on the lead lap and then immediately go back to being a lap down after they make their final stop of the day. But this should give you a little bit better idea as to where a lot of these drivers are running on track. You can see Chungus and Lucas here in 7th and 8th position. Chungus has actually caught Sherman. Commander Sherman, oh! And that's a spin by Top Gear! Right in the middle of the field. There's no damage to the car, so he'll be able to continue. But bad day continues to go worse for Top Gear. So now that Green has made his final stop, how much fuel does he have in that car? Well, it looks like the answer was he overfueled early on to have shorter pit stops, because now he only has about 68% left in the tank. So he's going to be nice and light going to the end of this race. So Chungus finally makes a pit stop. Lucas, after making his pit stop, is actually just a little bit ahead of Green. So he is still potentially on track to finish on the lead lap. I don't think it will happen, but it is possible that Lucas pulls out a lead lap finish out of this. ZR Villa and TNR Larry B finally are both pitting, so they were on top of each other fighting when they made their stops. What about Neb and Darkser? Neb spins right in front of Darkser. Neb comes in the pits, but Neb spins right in front of Darkser, and Darkser slams on the brakes. So, yeah, that's probably going to work out in neither of their favors. If anything, that might bring Sherman back into the fray against them. ZR Villa comes out just behind Darkser a little bit. So Villa has made his stop. Lucas has actually gotten back ahead of Larry after pit stops were done. So despite the damage earlier, Lucas is already back by Larry, and we'll now see Lucas inevitably try to run Villa back down. So Darkstar finally pits out of second position. And with that, Darkstar will go a lap down once again, and we'll be back to only our top 4 drivers on the lead lap, and there's still a very strong possibility that we will see ESV Green put everyone a lap down in this event. It's not guaranteed, not yet, but the possibility is very strong, especially with the fact that Villa has been about half a second a lap slower most of the day. And Lucas, while he is a little bit faster, Lucas has been significantly more mistake-prone. Larry is not very mistake-prone, but Larry just does not have a whole lot of speed. And at the end of it all, Neb is quite a bit clear of Darkstar right now, and Shungus is still fighting with Sherman for 7th position. So this is the fight for 7th and 8th. This is the new fight that we need to keep an eye on here. Right on board with ZR Sherman for a little bit, give you an idea of what it's like fighting for position here at Suzuka. Welcome back to Suzuka. As you can audibly hear the tires squealing as Sherman really is hustling to try and get up alongside PTG Shungus. But as you can see, no one seems to be able to actually get alongside and make moves anywhere unless it's the first corner or the final corner. Making moves in both of them are very high-risk scenarios. The only driver who seems to be able to pass anywhere on track is ESV Green, and that seems more to be off the fact that no one actually wants to fight him on the circuit today. We are still watching the distinct possibility that ESV Green will put the entire field up to second, and maybe including second, a lap down. Second, third, and fourth are all running relatively clean laps by themselves, but their laps are slower than the leaders. And on top of that, is to really add insult to injury here, there is a very distinct possibility that Lucas could go off again if he catches Villa and they start fighting. The other thing is that Lucas is on a bit of a tire deficit compared to the car in front and behind him. Now, Larry has been significantly slower than Villa and Lucas most of the day. Larry has been a 4th place car all day long, but Larry has a slight tire advantage. Lucas will have a tire disadvantage to the end, and Villa will also have a tire advantage. So the faster drivers will be on worse tires as this little 3-way fight for second goes on. There is still PGG Neb, who seems to have stabilized in 5th position finally after getting dumped by, it was not intentional, but got dumped by Darkster when Neb was trying to come into the pits. Although Neb is really struggling with the handling of that car. Then Darkster is holding on in 6th position. Then we have this fight that's been going on since about the end of the last round of pit stops, and that is Chungus versus Sherman going back and forth for 7th and 8th position. Midland Zeta is about another 25% of the lap behind them. And then Manic is 2 laps down at this stage of the event. Top Gear is 3 laps down. And Barricade is the pace car that has not really done a single thing over the course of the race today. Chungus tucked up right behind Top Gear, and lap traffic is going to hold up Chungus just a bit. Here comes Sherman. Sherman has a line, but he does not have the speed to do anything, and Chungus might not even have the speed to clear Top Gear going into the corner. Oh, wow, that's a lunge! That's a confident lunge! Well, they're both by the DMS car, but neither of them actually changed position when it's all said and done with it. Midland Zeta pits now. That will put Midland Zeta 2 laps down. Excuse me. So Manic and Zeta might potentially be fighting, depending on how long the stop takes. Manic and Zeta might end up fighting for 9th position. I don't think it's going to be the case. It looks like Zeta's already coming out of pit lane, and Manic hasn't even gotten onto the straight. Okay, so Zeta easily has that position over Manic right now. Farther up the grid, Green continues to lead. He has led every lap thus far, outside of a few very early on off sequence when other drivers went long in the first round of stops. We're just curious to see if he's going to be able to put the entire field a lap down. And then there's the fight for second. Lucas continues to close in on ZR Villa. Villa has been slower than Lucas all day long, but Lucas is going to be on a tire disadvantage, and Lucas has been very mistake prone. He's already had 1 accident today. "22 laps to go here at Suzuka." Bit of a slide there by Lucas going into the last 2 corners, but still, he is only about 1.1 seconds behind Villa. Not yet close enough to really get a draft off of 2nd place in the straightaway, though. But I do think that Lucas has enough straight line speed they can actually run Villa down just in the straights. But Villa has kind of been slow all the way around the track, comparing Villa to Lucas. We saw early on, Lucas was tucked up behind Villa for about 10 laps before sliding off and falling way back to the grid. Now, it wasn't that Villa was defending so aggressively that Lucas went off. Lucas just legitimately was taking way too aggressive of a line, trying to get alongside Villa, exiting the final corner, and ended up compromising his line twice, going through the last 2 corners. And Villa, big sideways moment, and all of a sudden, Lucas is there. Villa had a horrible run coming onto the straight, and Lucas is there. It's only half a second difference between the two now. And if you look, that's another one of the DMS drivers ahead that this duo is going to have to figure out a way to get past. Villa holding station, Lucas right there. Villa slides the rear end out again. 719 versus 441. Ford versus Ford. Ford has been the dominant manufacturer in today's event. Locked out the top 5 qualifying positions. All right, Villa still has it, and Villa now has a bit of a draft from DMS ahead. So while Lucas has a draft on Villa, Villa has a draft of his own. Is that going to be enough to let Villa hold station? Yes, it is. Villa actually opens up the gap, comparing himself to Lucas. But they're still stuck behind DMS Manning. Lucas closes up behind Villa once more in the twisties. Oh, he went for a lunge! He went for a lunge and got alongside! It was only for a little bit, but he's alongside. Villa is absolutely on watch now and is still stuck behind DMS Manning. coming onto the straight once more. Villa gets a draft. No, he doesn't even go for a draft. He immediately says, screw this. I don't want to deal with lap traffic. He goes to the inside, and he is going to complete the overtake on Manic. Lucas still has not completed the overtake on Manic, though. Manic goes wide in turn 1, though, and Lucas is immediately right back on ZR Villa's rear bumper. 18 laps to go. And through the S's once more. Lucas got alongside Villa briefly here earlier. This time, though, Villa's a little bit more aware, keeping them tighter defensive line. And if you look at that dot, the map on the corner, the big solid white dot, that is ESV Green, who is about to put TNR Larry be your 4th place driver a lap down. And if this duo of Villa and Lucas continue to fight, we may see the entire field go a lap down here today. Although we have had accidents, at least 3 accidents today, we have not had any yellow flags throughout the event. And that, coupled with the fact that no one puts Green under any pressure, has meant that Green has put on an absolute clinic today, because everyone just moves over and lets him go by whenever he catches them. That is a gigantic tank slapper that Lucas got there. So this duo has caught traffic again. That is the other DMS driver in the form of DMS Top Gear. Again, Villa doesn't even want to bother with draft. He immediately takes the tight inside line to go by the DMS driver. But Top Gear has a decent amount of straight line speed. Where does Lucas go? Lucas is going to go to the inside. Villa's wide. Lucas to the inside. Side by side in 2. They're still side by side as they come out, but it looks like Villa has it, just barely. And now Lucas tries to crossover. He gets contact made, slides sideways, the rear tire gets into the curb. He has a gigantic tank slapper from the rear of the car, and he's still right behind ZR Villa. Larry is now a lap down. And there are only 2 cars, the DMS duo, between Green and this fight for second. Down the front straightaway once again. Does Lucas make a big dive here? I don't think so. I think he's too far back. It's going to be clean track ahead for this duo for a long period of time. Big slide by Villa right in front of Lucas in the twisties. And that's just going to hold Lucas up even more. The big thing is, if Lucas gets by Villa and clears Villa, while Lucas is still slower than Green, there is a distinct possibility that if Lucas completes his overtake here, he might be able to maintain just enough of a gap that he can keep himself on the lead lap. Already Green has cleared all that traffic behind this duo. Bit of a slide by Villa just in front of Lucas again. Lucas slides the rear, coming out of turn 2 though. Still going through the twisties here. And big problem for Lucas is going to be the tire life. Real quickly, let's look at the tires. 40% for Lucas right now. For Villa, on the same tire, he is at 34.8%. That's roughly a 3%. That's roughly a 3-lap difference between the two of them when it comes to tire life. So making this overtake is only going to become harder and harder for Lucas as this goes on. Although it's not like Villa is going to have it easier and easier, but all Villa has to do is just continue to deny Lucas the ideal line going into these corners. And don't make a mistake. Don't send yourself off. And that's the thing. While Lucas has had a lot more big mistakes, Villa has had quite a few small mistakes. Has spun themselves sideways in the last 2 corners on at least 2 occasions. And that has put Villa back in the position of being caught by Lucas. Oh, Lucas very nearly into the grass that time. And that car that just came out of the corner behind him, that is the leader, ESV Green. As Lear crosses the line, he only has 13 if you want to count this lap. 13 laps left. DMS Top Gear in the pits again. May have had another instant that I might have missed. Big sideways move from Villa there. Oh, Villa's wide. He touched the dirt just a little bit there, and now Lucas has a run. Villa goes. He defends tight against the inside line. So Lucas says, fine, I'll go to the outside. Now Villa starts going high, so he has an actual line going into the corner. Side by side, Lucas does the crossover. And they make contact in two. Villa is sideways. Can't keep the car under him. Lucas has completed the overtake. Villa tries to follow, but just does not have the rear end stability necessary. Lucas hasn't ran away yet, though. But for now, Lucas goes into second. And Lucas may have just enough pace to stay on the lead lap to the end of this race. He needs to make sure he doesn't have a mistake here. And as I say that, Lucas had a big twist going through the final corner that time. And now Villa will have a draft off of Lucas again. It's not enough of a draft, though. The gap is still about 7/10. And while Villa goes deep into turn 1 to try and close it down, Lucas is smoother out of turn 2 and starts opening it up once again. Oh, not that time. Villa had a better time out of 2. Now the gap's down to only about 4/10. But it starts opening up again as they go through the turns. Villa seems to have a car that's a little bit more set up for straight line speed. Lucas seems to have a car that's a little bit more set up for the turns. Big sideways movement for Villa. But Lucas hits that inside island of dirt as well. Neither of them are really having a good time in the final 2 corners. And all the while, Green is closing down. It is now 10 laps left in the event for Green. I think Lucas will have just enough of a gap that Lucas should not have to worry about going a lap down as long as he doesn't make a mistake. Villa is going to really have to fight to not go a lap down. The big thing for Lucas, he needs to just manage his tires to the end. It's not going to be an unbelievable tire disadvantage, but Lucas is going to have a tire disadvantage to the end here. We look at his rubber already in the 50% range, I imagine. Was just about to hit 50%. He'll be at about 60% and some change at the end of this. Lucas is wide again going through the final corner. But Villa is a little bit worse off. Villa has completely lost any chance of trying to catch Lucas. And now the focus goes back to Green. This race is arguably going to be Green's master race. The one that, oh God, I should have said that. It was his most masterful race yet. Yes, no one has actually put any screws to him. No one's put any pressure on him. And when Green has gotten alongside people, most of them have not really fought back. But Green has legitimately maintained the pace that he had in qualifying throughout all of this run from start, lap 1 all the way to now. And mind you, he started the race with a full fuel load. He was overweight at the start of this race. And still, he pulled away from the rest of the field and has just not made a single thing wrong. And as long as nothing happens to Green, as long as Green doesn't have some sort of catastrophic accident that damages the car and forces him to pit again, he is guaranteed pretty much to walk out of here with a win. The question now is that can he really put the icing on the cake? Can he go ahead and put everyone a lap down in this event? He is right behind CR Villa, your 3rd place driver, and Lucas is only a short distance ahead. Game by Villa will be a little bit difficult, as Villa seems to have a car that's very good in straight lines. But Green has been the only driver today who's been able to make overtakes in corners. A bit of a slide by Villa, but Villa does get the power down in a relatively solid manner. Villa now uses the draft. Well, no, Villa uses the straight line speed to try and pull away from Green, but Green's got the draft on Villa. Into turns 1 and 2 again. 7 to go. really putting Villa under a lot of pressure. He's not really putting the bumper to Villa. She's getting close. Oh, now he put the bumper to Villa. Now he's running out of patience. Lucas is about to catch top gear up ahead as Lucas again touches the dirt and bleeds off. A bit of very valuable, crucial time there. Again, Green has a run. It's 6 laps to go this time. Green still behind Villa. Villa defending the line. And Lucas is just a little bit ahead. Lucas's tires are falling off a cliff at this point. Normally at this point, Lucas would be running away from Villa, but I think the tire life is really starting to hurt Lucas here. Not to mention, Lucas is still dealing with traffic as well, in the form of DMS Top Gear. He's actually pushing Lucas back towards Villa. All right, and now Lucas gets to the inside of Top Gear. As Lear comes across the line, it will be 4 laps to go. 5 laps to go, actually. I have to count the lap I'm on right now. Green actually backs out a bit. He doesn't want to get into Villa, and now he hits Villa in turn 2. He's trying to back out just so he's not hitting the driver ahead, and he's still hitting them irregardless. Villa finally clears the DMS car, but Green does not. Green is actually held up. That's probably the most problematic that traffic has been for Green since he had to deal with Darkser. Again, that's 2nd and 3rd, right ahead of Green. But I think he just is going to run out of time to put them both a lap down. Lap 97 now, 4 laps to go. Green is just trying to figure out how to get a good line to get alongside Villa and then complete the overtake. But Villa is just fast enough in a straight line that Green's not able to get alongside. Green destroys Villa over the course of a lap, but can't get enough of an advantage in any one corner, any one section of the track to really make a move stick. And all the while, Villa has caught Lucas because Lucas's tires are in trouble. Look at this tire wear. 61%. Now, Villa's tires aren't in a fantastic place either, but they still have an advantage over Lucas. So there's a fight for 2nd, and then the leader trying to put 2nd and 3rd lap down. It is now 3 laps to go. Villa looked to the inside, but did not commit to it. Green has got to be so infuriated with this. Right now, here comes Green to the inside. And Villa can't fight back, can they? They tried, but Villa can't fight back, and Villa goes a lap down now. And when they hit the line, it will be 2 laps to go. The last 2 laps are required to be run under green flag conditions. Does Green have a shot at catching Lucas here? Two to go as they come across the line. We look at Green's tires real quick. 63%. That's not great for Lucas. 64. So they're honestly at about the same rate when it comes to tire life right now. Interesting. That's an interesting thing to consider. But now Green is right behind Lucas. Green puts the bumper to Lucas. Villa is back behind Green. But I don't know if Villa will put the bumper to Green to try and get a shot at Lucas here. Lucas didn't have a great run to the corner, but Green was compromised by Lucas, and all of a sudden Villa is there. Villa runs Green wide. Villa was back on the lead lap, coming to the white flag now. And Villa got back by Green. That was not a development we anticipated. This is the final lap. Although it will be 2 laps left for Lucas and Villa, it's the last lap for ESV Green. And yes, unless Lucas slides off track, at least one driver is poised to finish this race on the lead lap. Still, who's not Green. Lucas really backs Villa up, though. You can see visibly how bad Lucas's tire fall off has become. Oh, and Green's off, and Villa's off. Green gets back on the power. Green finally made a mistake at the last corner on the last lap, but it didn't matter. Green will cross the line and end his race with the win. Lucas still has to finish the lap, but Lucas is going to be the one who will come home in second. Then Villa will be third. It was a wild fight back, a wild comeback by Villa and Lucas to just not go a lap down at the end. And Green waited until the last lap on the last corner to make a mistake, but he had been so perfect, so good for the rest of the event that that's not really going to matter. Larry B will come home fourth. Fifth place will go to PTG Neb, although Darkster has caught Neb here in the final few corners, but I think Neb should be able to hold this position. Coming out of the final corner, Neb will come down the front straightaway. He will be satisfied, I imagine, with a fifth place finish. Darkster will be sixth. PTG Chungus will be seventh. ZR Sherman completely out of control in the final corner, but they are so far ahead of everyone else that they are going to be in 8th. Midland Zeta will be coming home in 9th position. 10th place will be DMS Manic, and 11th place will be DMS Top Gear. What in the devil was that? But anyways, with that in mind, we will take a brief break here, and when we come back, we'll try to get interviews with some of our top finishers here at Suzuka here after TORA TASCAR's Thunder Special event here at Suzuka. Hey, Green, can you hear me? All right, cool. Let me double check and make sure that the Xbox party will let you include your audio.
I've ticked the box.
Okay, cool. Give me just a few seconds here and we'll get this going. I don't know who else is going to join here. Hello. I'll start with interviewing the race winner and then I'll go down the order. Excuse me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to the post-race for TORA TASCAR's Thunder Special here at Suzuka. And coming into the party with us right now is your race winner, ESV Green. Green, go ahead, include your audio. What a race. You only made one mistake, and that was in the last lap at the last corner.
Yep.
And by that point, you were so far ahead that didn't matter. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
I'm very happy with it, really. It's very happy. It's very good when you can just do a lap and not really make a lot of mistakes. You can just run it out. So yeah, not a lot to complain about. Obviously, like, it was really fun at the end with the guys trying to defend being on the lead lap. I was trying as hard as I could. I went in a lap earlier compared to Via, so my tires were a bit worse. so it just made it a little bit harder to overtake him. I had one chance, I got through, but then he took it straight back. So yeah, would have been obviously really cool to lap the entire field, but they're fast drivers at the end of the day. You still have to work for it. They're not just going to give it away for free.
All right, well, impressive run. I do want to ask a different question. Outside the very end there, no one really seemed to put any pressure on you. Even though there were no blue flag rules, most drivers just seemed to move over and let you by without fighting. Is there any reason why that may be the case?
Well, a couple people did like just pull over. I didn't tell them to. I was saying thank you though. But a lot of the case it was like with I think it was a couple of the people in the back half. They weren't exactly giving it away. It was just I was just able to position my car in such a way that I'd just be able to get alongside them and then just pass them. Like I'd preemptively just change up my lines to give myself the opportunity later. So like I can imagine like it would look like they would give it away, but it was really just me lining up the move like 3 corners in advance.
Fair enough. So I do have to ask, because I always ask this, where else can we see you? What else are you going to be racing in over the next few days or weeks?
Yeah, so in an hour's time, I'll be doing the XI Eagle Rock race that they'll be hosting. And then after that, in like 3.5 hours time, I'll be doing a sunset NASCAR race with Losick as well. I'm covering for Blade, riding with the number 87. So yeah, that'll be fun as well. 2 more races to go today.
All right, we'll see if, well, I'm sure other people will see if you can put the entire field lap down there, but thanks for jumping in and talking with us, Green.
Thank you.
All right, now I want to go ahead and talk with our second place finisher, PTG Lucas. Lucas, you started second, you finished second. Statistics would suggest, okay, well, that wasn't really a crazy race, but you were involved in an incident coming onto the front straight at one point that damaged the car. You've went off several times. I think you made more overtakes than anyone else for position, and you still came home second. Go ahead, include your audio. What do you have to say about your run out there, Lucas?
Yeah, it was wild, to put it that way. I haven't played much Forza recently, so I was actually really pleased with how it went. The mistakes were all self-inflicted, like putting it in the wall at the final corner. Just got on the grass and just dragged me wide, put me in the wall. So I had to do a few laps with damage to make sure I can make it to the end on a set of softs. But yeah, I'm happy with how that went. Obviously the battles with Villa were really good, really fun, and obviously the battle with Neb and Darkser too. So it was a good race, and overall pace wise I should have been more comfortable than what I made it, but I'm happy. Regardless, P2 is P2 no matter how you get there. So I was happy with how that went.
All right, and then one more question. Like I normally ask, where else can we see you racing or partaking in over the next few days or weeks? What else are you going to be running?
I've not got anything yet. I might look at the IMSSCA that got released today, but yeah, I'm not too sure when I'll next be back. Hopefully not in the too distant future.
All right, well, thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Good job on your recovery drive back to a second place finish today, mate.
Thank you.
All right, now I want to go ahead and talk with our third place finisher, ZR Villa. Villa, go ahead and include your audio. That was a very interesting race for you, basically from start to finish. And while you did have probably about 30 laps in the middle that you weren't really doing anything, you seem to be the real cork in the bottle that kept everything bunched up at the end. What do you have to say about your race today? right. That was a fantastic podium, a fantastic lead lap finish. What other series do you run in that we can see you in? All right. Well, we'll definitely be looking forward to seeing you again at the top, hopefully at the top steps of the podium. But great job out there. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate. One more interview, and I want to talk with our 5th place finisher, PTG Neb. Neb, you didn't qualify great, but in the end, you worked your way up to a 5th place finish, which is basically where you started, well, a little bit ahead of where you started. Go ahead and include your audio. What do you have to say about your race out there today?
I actually started in 4th.
Oh. Why weren't you in 4th at the end of the Okay, I must have missed something because I was so focused at the front. Never mind.
I got
I'm
shuffled.
sorry.
My lap 1 was atrocious. Usual races for me. But I spent the entire race battling with Doc, so it's just sometimes he was faster, sometimes I was faster. He was having some game issues with his controller that made him slower. I had damage at points that made me slower. But the last stint, neither of us could turn. So I'm quite happy with where I finished. I was about where I thought I was going to be on pace, and I knew my goal today was to beat Darkster, and I did, so I'm happy with that.
Well, I do want to ask one more question. Where else can we see you racing in the future?
Yeah, we got the race in an hour that you're also casting, I believe. Our PCG NASCAR series. That's always good. Hopefully, I'll finally be able to not throw a race there. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm doing probably going to do ISCC, and then I'm doing the TORA Hot Hatch series. That was really good on Thursday. I was better than I thought I was going to be.
All right, thanks for jumping in and talking with us, Neb. And that will pretty much wrap up our broadcast. But like Neb said, here on this channel, we are not done for the day. In about an hour's time or a little bit less, we will be starting up a broadcast. Actually, probably a bit more than an hour, but we'll be starting up the broadcast for the PTG NASCAR series, as they'll be at Indianapolis Oval. But until that time, I've been your host for Days Race Insane Leader 13. Thank you very much for joining us. I do want to say one more time, thank you to SFM Darkster for letting me jump in and broadcast. And with that in mind, that will pretty much wrap up our broadcast. Until next time, farewell everyone, and goodbye.